I think if we can talk a little bit about how can the layman understand AI?
Sure.
And some of that, as we're talking, is understanding, hey, it's really coming, it's really here. There's some dangers. You need to wake up to some degree. You need to accept it and or figure out, especially if you're a business owner, how this can help you or hurt you.
Right.
Now, a lot of times I think to date we've heard AI, and I think it's more that was machine learning. And I think I wanted to pull up this graphic, and as you've really dove into this and studied it, I think there's a lot of people that will go on YouTube or wherever and say, okay, how can I better understand this? And they're going to look for that person who can finally like resonate with them. Oh, the way Carl explained it.
Sure.
Great. Now I understand it. Tried all these other ones. I don't get it. If this graphic is somewhat helpful, because there's a lot of key elements to this that I think this is well structured in the way it's kind of laid out. But you're fresh off of really diving into this even more, spending about 100 hours or so, getting certified everywhere you can. You're writing on it. Can you, from this kind of step through this graphic and just kind of help the layman understand what it is and what it's not?
Yeah, and there are so many of these charts, and they're all like slightly different because everybody has different opinions. So I don't know if I'll fully like step through exactly what this is, but the top level thing, and I'm making a training actually for continuing education for a certain organization soon. And first of all, AI is not new. The pursuit of AI almost goes back about 100 years. And it's really marked again with Alan Turing and Alan Turing, the Turing test, where the conversations about these computers we've just invented, what if one day they can be like humans? So ever since we've had computers, we've been talking about artificial intelligence. It wasn't, and I part of my training is this kind of timeline, and it really isn't until the last 5-10 years that really we could hit anywhere close to what we think is artificial intelligence. Because even at this point, with what you're seeing here, the large language models, they're narrow intelligence in that they can do one thing really, really well. But Sam Altman will talk about this AGI, this artificial general intelligence. That's the like Terminator, like it walks around, talks, and communicates with other AIs and things. We're not there yet. It's still very narrow in what it's capable of doing. Like the large language models, really all they can do is sort through language. But now they're starting to do this whole thing like multimodal, that it can look at images and can do other things. So we're starting to kind of cross that it's not as narrow as it used to be.
So real quick, are these LLMs, is it all structured text?
So we don't know, because once you stick this in the system, part of the legality or illegality of it is there's no track of like where this was stuck in. So first of all, I think it's best that I try to explain to people AI, these deep learnings algorithms, they build what's called a neural network. There's input and there's output, just like a computer. But what's happening in the middle is what's really different. And they're kind of letting the computer decide its own kind of path. And mathematically and even visually, if you start to look at what a neural network looks like, they are simulating very much the structure of what a human's mind has, where it's run through several million neurons just to say the words I'm saying right now. If you could see my brain, it's just lighting up. They're doing that on computers. They're these. It's called the hidden layer. And if you ask, how exactly did the computer come to this conclusion? The smartest AI people in the world will look at you and say, I don't know 100% no. I can't. It's too complicated. The math and the mechanisms inside these deep neural networks are too big for a human to say that's exactly why it did that.
Yeah.
That should be a little concerning, obviously, that we are building stuff so complicated that we're tossing it in and then just seeing what it did. You can't really trace back through why it does what it does. And as soon as you start to give it rules, like don't do or say racist things, which there have been AIs in the last year doing those kinds of things. When you start to set rules and you start to really push it to only think in a certain way and try to figure out how it's doing it, it gets slower and it gets less accurate. And so there's this weird conundrum that the AI world is in. Let the computer just kind of learn this neural network on its own, and how do we make it safe? And not only safe as far as like discrimination, but also like that it doesn't kind of eventually develop AI